Welcome to another episode of BrainNet Executive Talks. Today we would like to talk about transformation, and I do have the pleasure and the honor to do that with the Chief Procurement Officer of Miele, Dr. Günther Reinelt. Welcome for today. I'm very proud having you with us, and we are familiar, each of us, since I would like to say more than 15 years. And Miele is acknowledged as one of the leading companies in its area and in its industry globally. But not only Miele as corporation, it's also procurement is acknowledged, and I would like to say most admired, as one best practice organization. What do you think are has been the core milestones going that path, being a best procurement organization in procurement?
First of all, thank you for having me here, and I can confirm that the long way we have went through together with many exciting projects has proven that purchasing is a very exciting discipline. And coming back to your questions, I think first of all its capability. The people involved, and especially the people who are in charge of the managing functions, must know what to do, where to go, and must have a special vision. Secondly, it's absolutely necessary that there is a drive and a leadership to motivate the people and to get things going. And thirdly, there must be the permission, there must be the frame conditions that you can then take all the actions required to get the transformation going. Altogether, I think it's necessary to have capable sponsors in the organization. These sponsors must be aware of the potential of purchasing, and together with the sponsor and leadership function in the purchasing organization, especially the CPO, who knows where to go and what to do. I think these are the key success factors for getting this transformation process successfully completed.
Dr. Reinelt, especially in the last years, we have observed dramatic changes in the economic environment of companies, for example, also in Miele's business environment. From your perception, what has been the most important changes and the most important challenges your organization had to tackle?
The first big change we had to make sure was to get the purchasing functions out of the back office corner as a pure service provider to all the other functions in the company. The second big change was to establish a cross-functional and cross-operational organization in purchasing, because in the past Miele purchasing was completely decentralized, which means all the disadvantages of isolated activities with regards to purchasing. Having this virtual centralization, we had the benefit of bundling all the spend and getting total transparency on the spend and providing best benefit for the company.
All these changes you mentioned and the challenges you had to tackle in the past, what have that meant personally for you, especially in your role as CPO and the role model of the CPO of Miele?
I think the first big challenge was that as CPO I was responsible for the entire purchasing organization. And the second big change was that purchasing was not only in driving the euro to the bottom line, but it was to reduce and mitigate risk, was to collaborate with all the other functions in the organization, for example R&D or production or logistics or even sales, to make sure that all the potential of the buying market gets incorporated in providing bottom line benefits. So this was then, as consequence of this activities for the entire organization, the CPO had to stay in close contact with top management, and in case of Miele it was to report to the two joint CEOs, which meant that the purchasing power improved dramatically over the years since we have established this new system.
I would like to come back to one word you have used before. It is transformation. I would like to say transformation is a buzzword for the consulting industry, not only. And so for you as senior executive, I'm really interested to hear, what do you personally connect with the word transformation, and what is your personal leadership experience, how this transformation can be managed?
Transformation means for me a continuous effort to align all activities of the purchasing functions with the overall business objectives. Based on that, it's very important to motivate the people to understand what's going on and to make all the efforts to their own efforts, so that the whole team is convinced that purchasing can achieve a much better result than before the transformation. And on the other hand, when you have succeeded in the first few steps and had the first quick wins, then it's quite easy to convince the internal customers to accept the power and the possibilities of the purchasing functions. This will reduce the so-called maverick buying, and at the end of the day, then as a joint effort, all the external resources can be utilized by purchasing teams consisting of purchasing and the internal customer groups.
With my last question, Dr. Reinelt, I would like to come to the future. Future is characterized more or less by, from my perspective, volatile markets, scarce natural resources, new requirements for environmental management, and maybe another financial crisis. We will see that in the future. For a very experienced CPO, what's on your agenda for the future?
I think the main objective is to provide all the power to purchasing, to bring in all the potential of the buying market. That means the internal customers must know, and purchasing is a department who has all the information to support all the internal activities by suppliers. This is the first thing. That means transparency of the potential of the supply market. Well, the second requirement, the second challenge in the future will be to provide all the systems, tools and methods, especially risk management, supplier management, to provide a continuous supply of all the materials and services so that the company does not have any interruption from the supply market. The third big challenge certainly will be people in procurement department. We certainly have to qualify the people and we have to provide the right capacity. And this will take a lot of effort to get those people trained to the required level of competence. The fourth big challenge certainly will be that depending on the development of the company and the volatile demand is causing volatile spend activities. That means the planning must be much closer to the reality and not in a very generous way, very unclear. It must be more specific so that the reaction time is much shorter and you can provide all the provisions to make sure that your production is still running even when the supply from the market is very volatile. And the last point certainly is to make sure that purchasing succeeds on its way to become a well-established function in the company, well accepted by top management, well accepted by all the other functions in the company as a fully professional business partner rather than a back office service function.
At the end of that executive talk, I would like to give my personal thanks to you for having the chance to accompany you for the last 15 years. My perception is that I learned a lot from you, and thank you for giving us your insights also today and to share your ideas with us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Rust, thank you very much for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you. I think we have achieved quite a lot during the past at least 15 years, and I think there's a big headroom for further improvement in the future. So I think let's get going, and as the Miele motto is, forever better or immer besser. Thank you.